Hey, it's good to see you again, my friend. Well, I got myself another little sketch here, and as you know, I like to start my paintings off with a very strong drawing, just so we know where everything needs to go before we get going. I always recommend you start with one too. I hope you're ready, because we're going to get started real quick here. Now, while I'm getting started, all the names of the colors are going to be going across the screen for you, so you know exactly what I'm using. And boy, oh boy, we're going to start with a fun little color today. We're going to start with a color we don't use a lot. And you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my flat brush out for this one. I'm going to get a little bit of our phthalo green with some of the pyro orange. Yeah, I'm going to mix a little bit of that together, and that's going to make a nice little color, I think. All right, and then we're going to go right up in here where all this water is, and you see all this? We're just going to do some of this. We're going to go, okay, and we're going to go right down this way, and then go, right in here, and we're going to keep our strokes very loose, very loose. All right, and while we do that, each section we paint, we want to very quickly rip off some paper towel, or some tissue paper rather. I just use some toilet paper that I got at Home Depot. It's real cheap stuff. And that way, when I go ahead and paint these things, ooh, look at that, look at that. Got ourselves a nice little hue going already, don't we? Yeah, that's just about the right color too. I'm really impressed with myself right now. Excuse me while I pat myself on the back. Okay. Now we got some water that's kind of just running down this way, and maybe going down here and maybe, maybe he's got a little bit of water running that way. Here, let's go ahead and lift this now. I always recommend that you keep your first strokes very light, very light. Don't be afraid to keep it light, okay? And if you want, you can go back in and maybe, okay, just like some of this right here. Maybe we can get a little bit of the dark color in there, maybe. There, maybe get a little bit of that in there, and I don't know, maybe we'll get some of this in here over this way. Yeah, maybe that's about right. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Don't mind if I do. Okay, I'd say that we're pretty well on our way here. Let's go ahead and I want to take a look at one more spot here. Let's go ahead and just get a little bit of water over in this area. There it is. Ooh yeah. Yeah, that's looking real nice. Ooh, baby. Oh, baby. Now, doesn't that look oh so much like water already? Doesn't it look like water already? That's really all it takes. It's really all it takes. And then we dry it, lift a little bit of the paint, and then we can go right back in, because this is a very absorbent paper, and you have to pay attention to what kind of paper you're using and the qualities that it has, because every piece of watercolor paper is a little different, okay? So I'm going to go in and, you know what, I don't like that. Here's what I'll do. Here, I'll lift a little bit of that and, okay. There. Now look how easy that was. Look how easy that was. That's really all we had to do. Now I'm going to take my round brush here. Now my round brush, unlike my flat brush, is made with natural hairs. And I like using the natural hairs because it helps me get a lot more paint, a lot more water. Makes it a lot easier to paint sometimes. And when you pick up colors, I'm picking up some ultramarine right now, you have to pay special attention to the colors in watercolor, because if you're not paying attention, that might get a little rough. Because guess what happens? In watercolor, we have different pigment textures, because watercolor paint really shows off the texture of the pigments, unlike a lot of different mediums. I'm not too sure right now if there's any others that really show off the pigment texture the way watercolor does. But this is something you gotta pay special attention to, because it's one of those things that really makes watercolor so, watercolory. Okay, I'm gonna take my flat brush here. You know what I like to use my flat brush for? It's made with synthetic hairs, and it doesn't hold a lot of water. But I like to use it to paint a few things, like the waves up there, and I like to use it to lay in some washes and stuff. May just wet the paper. I like to wet the paper like this because, you know why? Because it's one of those things that just makes watercolor feel so much like watercolor. It's the joy of painting wet and wet like this. Now look at that, We're painting this old lady here. This old lady, she's just, taking a look out at the water, reflecting on life. Maybe she's had some tough times in her life. Maybe she's thinking about all the things that have ever happened to her. Who knows? Who knows? But she's out there, and she's taking a load off. And let's go ahead and take a load off with her, shall we? Yeah, I know. I know. Okay. Well, now we'll just go in and lift a little bit of that. And maybe you can see it. Maybe you can't. But we're already getting a little bit of the texture of the ultramarine in there. And that's why we like to use very specific colors. Like, I want that texture. I want that ultramarine color in there, okay? We can go ahead and I think I'm going to get a little bit more ultramarine on that. There. And now we can pick out her jacket. Because her jacket's probably going to have a little bit extra over here. Okay? Yeah. I'm very quickly just going to paint her jacket like this. This is really all there is to it. We paint in layers, right? Yeah, that's what we do. We paint in layers. Painting in layers makes this job a lot easier. Here's what I can do. There. Actually, let me go ahead and get that again. There. Now, every time we do that, we lift it a little bit, but we leave a little bit what's left behind. Okay? Okay. And when we leave a little bit what's left behind like that, things become ever so darker. Things become ever so darker, oh so quickly. Okay? Now, let's go right about, and you know what we can do? Let's go right about back into the water here, I think. We're going to get a little bit of the pyrrole on here, and we're going to mix that with the phthalo green. And I'm going to use my other flat brush here. I've got two flat brushes going. I like to have a couple of different brushes of each style going, just so it makes my life a little easier when I want to paint things very quickly like this. And I like to work real fast. I like to work like that. I gotta tell you though, I'm not a fan of painting upright like this. This is, you know what this is? You know what this is? This is a madman's way of painting. This is a crazy person's way of painting. No sane person ever paint a watercolor painting like this. You know why I paint it like this? I paint it just so you can have a better view of what I'm working on right now. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, I would be painting this like a normal person. Okay. Now let's go ahead here and we'll go and we'll just lay this in. Yeah, we'll lay this in. That's really all we're gonna do with this. Okay. And that's about all we gotta do to that. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. You know what we can do? If we got enough leeway here, we can go ahead and maybe we can lift a few things here. There. And maybe we can go in here, get a little bit of that, and it's just a rule of waves here. Leave a little bit of the white showing so that we know exactly what we're looking at. We'll look at some of these waves here. Okay. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right here and just like that. Okay. And now we can just lift it a little bit wherever. That's all there is. Very good. Very good. Now I'm going to make some decisions up here too. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Ooh, you know what I think I might do? I'm going to go into my triad mix. And if you don't know what a triad mix is, a triad mix just means a mix of 3 different colors. I don't like to mix more than 3 colors. I feel like if you mix more than 3 colors, you're working too hard. Okay? So for this triad mix, this mix of 3 colors, what I'm using is my nickel azo yellow, my quinacridone magenta. I'm getting about an even amount here because I want this color to be pretty orange. But I'm also getting a little bit of the ultramarine in there because I want this to be textural because we got a lot of rocks in here, right? We do. We have so many rocks. We've got so many. It's ridiculous. Okay. Let me make sure I got no paint up here. And now we can go in right in here. Real nice like that. Yep, that's the way. Alright, so then we'll go ahead and just paint this in. And then, you know what? We might want a little bit more of that. quinacridone magenta. Just to get that in there. There it goes. Whoop. Yeah, that happens sometimes. If that happens, sometimes when you're painting upright like this, you get a little drip. Don't be afraid to get a little drip on your painting. It's okay. It's okay. Here's what I'll do. I'll just take a little bit off the edge here. Help this along its way. Here. There. Oops. This is what happens when I try to get things just so and show them to you. They work against me. Always remember, your tools have got other ideas about the way this painting's going to go, so you're going to have to be fighting them constantly. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get out our flat brush and do some technique that I like to show you. Now what I like to do for rocks is I like to do a sort of dry brush technique where I splay the brushes out with my fingers, right? And I just dip it in the paint, just like that. And what we do is we kind of just pick out different areas where we think the rocks are going to go. Just like this. Okay? There. And then we've already got some pretty mottled texture in there. What we can do is I think we can get a little bit more. We can get a little bit of water on this too. One of the benefits of working on absorbent paper is that the color dries pretty quickly on there, so we can go ahead and do another layer almost immediately, which is one of the benefits, but also one of the one of the tribulations of using this medium. It's just one of those things. Okay, let's feel that again. And if it's a little bit wet, maybe you don't want to worry about it too much. Maybe you want to just let watercolor be watercolor. Okay, let me go down in here. Okay. There that goes. And there. There it goes. Oh, that's pretty. So now we've got a three-tone effect over there for the water. And I'm loving it. I really am. Now, what do you say we go ahead and think of something a little bit more, I don't know, subdued for the rocks over here? Well, you know what I might do though? I might go back in here with just a little bit of our greenish color here, and maybe just carve out some forms here. This is kind of what we're doing with watercolor and all that. We carve out forms, right? We carve out colors. So just pick out the things that you find the most interesting. The things that you think would really work, right? And I'm just using, you know what I'm just using? I'm just using that phthalo green and that pie roll. That's really all I'm doing here, okay? And don't be afraid to let the flat brush do the work here. Just wave it from side to side if you don't know what else to do. I mean, don't work too hard here. Let it do the work for you. Pretend there's like stones in the water, right? But they're all kind of getting blurred by the fact that there's running water flowing over them. So you got all this water in here, kind of just playing with everything. And it's interesting. You think about that and you try to capture the spirit of it. And maybe you want to go up in here and get a few more things like that. I don't know. Maybe you want to get a little bit more of that. Maybe you want to leave it alone. It's up to you. It's really up to you. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to get some ultramarine here and pyrrole orange. And I'm going to get a little bit more ultramarine to the pyrrole orange on this one. Yeah, be careful though, because you can easily overpower your ultramarine with that. And I'm going to go right into her hair like this. And just pick out a big old spot like that. There it goes. That's what we do. We just pick out a big old spot. And then we cover it up. That's what we call applying a foundation wash. Now that foundation wash, ooh, it pays dividends because it makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier to paint everything else you have to do. Okay? Now, what I want to do first before I go ahead and do anything else with her, I think, is I want to go ahead and I want to paint a base layer for the rocks. So let me take my ultramarine and my quinacridone magenta mix. Okay? And then I'll get a little bit more of the ultramarine on there, and we'll find ourselves a neutral color. If you need to, when you're mixing the nickel azo yellow in, you're going to find a lot of the time that you have to add a little bit more of that quinacridone magenta to get things to really neutralize, right? Because sometimes these things play tricks on you. Like I tell you, your materials, they got other ideas about the way the paint's going to go, but so you got to reel them in. Okay, now let's go ahead and wet these rocks here, okay? I'm just going to wet everything like that. Oh, yeah. Now, she's sitting on some rocks over here, so I'm going to get a little bit of that. There's going to be a little bit of foliage covering that up, too. So, you know, pick and choose where you want the foliage to be. You don't have to have real concrete ideas. You just have to sketch out a few things and throw them down. Maybe you got a few spots over here where you want to spare a couple of spots for some foliage like that. I don't know. Give it a shot, though. Here's where we're going to go. Yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, that's where we're going to go. Okay. Now we're going to go over this way. Ooh, I'm getting paint all up and down my easel right here. I use a French easel to show these to you. And that French easel, it's been with me a long time. Had it forever. My mom got it for me as a gift, like a birthday gift, back when I was a lot younger. And I've been using it my whole life. It's actually a really good one, too. I'm kind of surprised she bought such a good one right off the bat, but, well, it turned out her gut instinct was right. You know, you gotta listen to your parents sometimes. They're not always right, but a lot of the time, you would be surprised how right they can be. Okay? Alright, now, let's maybe get a little bit over here, and maybe get a little bit, yeah, let's cover up a little bit over this way. Okay, we gotta be quick, I'm dilly-dallying, that's what I'm doing. I'm fiddling around with things instead of looking at the big picture. Now, when I say look at the big picture, you know what I mean? Maybe you don't. When I talk about looking at the big picture, I'm talking about looking at the whole painting and getting an idea of where it's going to go. Because if you just go in and you do stuff, ooh, I don't know if it's going to work so well. But other times you go in and you surprise yourself, right? Now, we're going to mix this again, except, well, actually, we're not going to mix anything quite yet. We got to lay down a couple of things still. I want to go over here with this color and maybe just get a few of the ideas over here painted. Because maybe we got some stones over here with a bunch of different things going on. Yeah. There's going to be a bunch of foliage in here, so we'll paint that. We'll paint that real soon. And then there's going to be some foliage over around this rock here. There it goes. Okay. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a little bit more of that ultramarine, a little bit more of that quinacridone magenta in there. So we're going to get a nice little color going. And then I'm going to check and make sure my flat brush is clean. And you should do that too. Make sure your brushes are clean before you use them. Otherwise, ooh boy, gets to be a real mess then. Sometimes I like to tap it on there, maybe wipe it on the edge if it's just to get a little bit of that water off. It doesn't take much with a brush that's made with natural hairs, or not natural hairs, it's made with synthetic hairs. It doesn't take much with a brush that's made with synthetic hairs. Okay, now we're going to find all the separations and stuff and all these rocks here, right? Yeah, that's the way. Now maybe we're going to go up in here. Okay. Maybe up in here we're going to go. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Maybe we will. And then we'll go and do a little bit of this. And you know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing? I'm just splaying the bristles and dragging the brush. That's really all I'm doing here. And if you want, you can take a little bit of the harshness off some of these, just to give it a little bit of variation as you're going along. Okay. And maybe up in here we'll take another. Okay. Right around here where all that foliage is coming, we'll give that a little bit of color there, and then we'll go in here too. There. Okay. And we'll go over this way too. There it goes. And we'll just take a little bit off that. So things are looking pretty decent here. Yeah, things are looking all right. I have to say. Now let's go ahead and use our imagination a little bit, and let's mix us up a little bit of. Let's mix us up a little bit of some phthalo green and some Nicolazo yellow here. Yeah, there it goes. That's what we're looking for. Now I need lots and lots of this color, lots and lots of it, because there's lots and lots of green stuff here, right? Yeah, off to the side here, there's lots and lots of green stuff. Okay, I got it. Here, let's. Maybe our water is getting a little dirty. My bucket, I have 3 different wells, one of which I use for painting. The other 2 I use for cleaning my brushes. So I rinse my brush twice, and then I paint. It's kind of like the painter's equivalent of measure twice, cut once, and all that. You know? Yeah, you know. You know. Okay. All right. Well, now that we got all that color in, or we got the wash done rather, let's get ourselves a rather yellowish green, and now we'll just go in here. Okay. And this is just the foundation, okay? And with the foundation, you're free to be a little bit more liberal in the way that you do things. You can just throw that right down and move on with life. You know how it is. You know how it is. If you've been with me before, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but if you have, you know how it is. And if this is your first time with me, then welcome. It is so good to have you here with me. And I hope you stick around, and I hope you learn a little. I hope you'll learn a little something about art. Now, I know that not everyone watches me to learn all about art and all that business, but you know, a lot of people do. And I'm so happy when people tell me how much what I do helps with their paintings. Here, I'm just going to get this little flesh tone color right here. And right here too. Okay. And I'll get this color right here. There. So now we've got that. Now we can paint this tree over here. And this tree is going to have kind of a neutral color to it, I think. It's going to have, well, it's going to have a little bit of the ultramarine in there too. Here, let's get a little bit the ultramarine. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. I'm just going to, whoops. Oh, look at that. How do you like that? That's no big deal. That's no big deal. There, you know what I can do? I can go ahead and set this down and lift a little bit of what I done. Move things along a little bit, because you know the paper gets a little wet, and when we lift the paint, things dry a lot faster. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and Well, just go ahead and paint things just like we were doing, as if nothing happened. And hopefully nothing happens again. That would be just my luck too, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that would be. Okay. Here we go. There it goes. There it goes. And now we'll take our flat brush, display the bristles out, go back into that color, and ooh, which way do we want to go? Here, I might take my left hand on this one. Now you might not be ambidextrous like me, but if you are, you can do this technique too. But if not, don't worry yourself. Just try your best with your dominant hand. Okay, that's really all I gotta do for that. Look how neat that turned out. That's amazing. That is so amazing. Here, I'm gonna get some more of that color I was using, the green color with the Nicolazo yellow and the phthalo green. All right. And you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? Ooh, I'm gonna splay my bristles out here and feeling brave. This is a bravery test right here. This is gonna be tough. Okay. All right. The thing of it is, I'm going to try to splay these bristles out and just kind of make these strokes go every which way, right? Because this is just a whole mass of grass like that. Just a big old mass of it. It's kind of going everywhere. It really is. Okay. So I'll just tear off a piece of my toilet paper and pick up a little of that. And we've about got all the grass that we need to get right there. We do have a little bit more we could get over. Ooh. Over in here we'll go. And we'll just. Yeah, we'll maybe go in here and just tap a few things in there. That's really all we gotta do. Here, we'll lift a little bit of that too. Again, be careful. Be careful of how intense the color is. You don't want it to get too intense in some areas. You want to save your darkest darks for where it really counts. And I got a feeling I know where it's really going to count now. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm thinking. I just keep having all these ideas, and it's a race against, well, myself and time to really get these colors just the way I want them. Because sometimes you got ideas, and sometimes you struggle to get them down. You know what I mean? You have ideas and you struggle to get them down. I'm sure a lot of you all know how that feels. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go. Okay. All right. There we go. There it goes. We got our hair. We got our hair. That feels good, doesn't it? Boy, that does. I'm going to go into a mix of my phthalo blue and my pyrrole. And I'm going to start getting some colors down in here. And I'm going to get the colors down in here where there's a lot more shadow and stuff, you know? Yeah. Because maybe we got this going this way. Okay. Make sure that when you pay attention to your shadows, that you're really, really getting the violet colors in. There's a lot of shadows. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of shadows have a very violet hue to them, right? They sure do. They really do. So I'm going to get that full, and maybe this one, and this one, and yeah, we'll get that one. Here, we'll get that one too. Here. Okay. There it goes. All right. It's looking so nice. It's looking so nice. Here's where we're gonna, I think we're gonna get a little bit of our blue color here. Okay. Here. There. Maybe we'll just get a couple more little details right there. There it goes. You gotta be careful with phthalo blue. Phthalo blue and stuff, oh boy, what a staining color. Here's what I can do. If the colors get away from you, you can go ahead and just paint over them. Give them a shade darker maybe. There. And then I can go in and lift it ever so slightly. And then I'll just let it be, I think. I will let her be. Alright. I'm gonna go and take a look at some of the things I've done here. I want to take a little bit of my ultramarine and my quinacridone magenta, mix it in with my earthy triad mix, you know, with the Nicolazo yellow and the quinacridone magenta and the ultramarine blue, and then I'm gonna go in a couple of areas here like this, and I'll find a few rocks where I want things to stand out a little bit more, and then I'll make them stand out a little bit more. There. And maybe I'll go in here, just like that. There. Just a couple of things like that, and then we'll go in here. Like that. Very good, very good. We'll pick up a few things over in here too. There. Okay. That's about all I wanted to do with that. Now, here's what I can do next. Here's what I can do next. I can maybe take a little bit more of the yellow color, add it onto this. Then we'll splay this out with the other hand. Take my left hand like this. There. Alright. That's good. That's about good. Now let's take more of our green color. And ooh, this old lady here, you know, she's getting tired of waiting on me to finish painting. She's telling me I better get a move on here. And I don't blame her for getting a little impatient. She wants to go to lunch, and honestly, so do I. Honestly, so do I. I would love to go to lunch right now. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Dear me. Okay, let me take some more of this green that I was using. Let's just get a little bit more of that. A lot of that phthalo green and that pyro orange, because it's been doing wonders for us so far, hasn't it? Yeah, it has. It's been doing wonders. Okay, maybe in here we got a little something. Maybe we're... Okay. There. You know what we're doing? We're adding just a little bit of value to this. Okay. That looks so, so nice. Okay. Looking very handsome, very handsome. And now I'm gonna take a look at things here, and you know what we could do, I'm gonna paint with some quinacridone magenta and phthalo blue. Oh boy. I'm looking at all the stuff that appears to be missing, and there's not a lot. But there's just enough that it gives me a little bit of pause, So I'm looking for kind of a violet-ish color here. I'm looking for something that's got a little bit more of quinacridone magenta in that blue. Alright. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right about here. And I want to make these rocks kind of pop, So I'll go right about in here. Okay. There it goes. Okay. Now we're not done with that color quite yet. We're not done quite yet. So let's just don't get too excited yet. I just want to lift a little bit of that, because I think that a little bit, just a little bit, would be good for it here. There we go. Okay. And maybe we'll go over here and we'll get a little bit of that too. There. And one last spot in here. Okay. That about works. Let me get my other flat brush out and see how wet that is. Yeah, it's pretty wet. It's pretty wet. Here, let's go ahead and get a little bit of... There it goes. I'm going to stick just a little amount of... Ooh. A little amount of the color the violet color we were using in here. Try to get that to perk up a little bit, because we have some colors in here that need to pop a little bit, I think. We'll just get a few. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. And let me put down my brushes and go under here. There. Yeah, be careful not to get her too dark there. I don't want her to be too dark. And now, finally, I think, let's go ahead with our nickel lasso yellow, our phthalo green mix, and I'll try to splay this out a little bit again. There. just tap some of these things in like that. There it goes. There it goes. All right. And once more, we'll lift it a little. I know, there's a lot of lifting in this technique, isn't there? Yeah, there is. Anyway, that should be about good, I think. I don't know, what do you think? You think I should add maybe a little bit of ultramarine or something? Maybe to the figure here? Just to get her a little bit more exciting. Maybe a little bit. Let me try this. Just rub out a couple of things here and there. Yeah, I'd say our painting is looking pretty nice so far. I might be fussing with things a little bit too much, though. Oops. Yeah, I might be fussing with things a little too much, so it might be about time for me to wrap this up before I fuss with it too much. Because you know how it is. You know how it is. Sometimes we get a little too carried away. Sometimes we get a little carried away. Alright. That's about right. Okay, let me do one last thing right here. There. And now, I think we about have ourselves a finished little painting. See, that wasn't so bold and daring. Well, I guess it was a little. It had its moments, didn't it? And here I am, still painting it at the 11th hour, when we really should be wrapping this up, right? Oh, I know. I just have a habit of getting so carried away with these things. It's a blessing and a curse sometimes. Okay. I don't know. I love painting. It's one of the few things in life that really makes me feel happy. It brings me such joy. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to share this joy with you every single week. Okay. Makes me feel like, well, in a way, we're good friends somehow. I know that it's hard for me to really get to know you like this, but it probably is such a good way to show you what's really in my heart. It really makes me feel the best. And I love painting. Here's what we can do. We can go ahead and we can fudge the rules a little bit and give these a little bit of an outline like this, right? Yeah, we can do that. Nothing in the rule book that says we can't. There. That's just to create a little bit of separation. I know. Well, and maybe over here, ooh, I don't know. There. Okay. There's a goes. Okay. All right. I think that's about enough for this one. Let's go ahead and sign our name now. I'm going to go ahead in my thick red here. I use a very thick red to sign my name with. I don't really paint with it. And I'm down right here in this corner. I'm going to write SK, my initials. And you know, when you sign your name, you can write your whole name, your first name, last name, whatever name you want to write down, really. Just make it and do it consistently so people know it's you. And with that, my friend, I think it's about time for me to leave you. I hope you really enjoyed this, and I'll be back with you again very soon. Until next time, with love from me to you. Bye-bye.